Pokémon Day 2026 saw the release of FireRed and LeafGreen on the Nintendo Switch. While this re-release has sparked quite a few debates online, I only saw one thing: the opportunity to make a new living dex. I've been wanting to tackle the older generations, and they just handed me a golden opportunity. Not only will this be my first time completing a Pokedex in Generation 3, but this is a very unique situation. The original release of FireRed and LeafGreen came out after Ruby, Sapphire, and Colosseum, meaning there was always a way to really pump up the numbers for the national decks. However, this time, all we have is FireRed and LeafGreen, and so we'll really need to push the game to its limits to be able to catch everything we can. And so starting on Pokémon Day, I set out on an adventure or three, searching the highs and lows of the Kanto region to catch the 150 that started it all, and maybe some extras along the way. We start our journey in LeafGreen, partly because it's the closest to blue version, but also for other reasons we'll talk about later. We try to head out of town and meet Professor Oak, who gives us our very first Pokémon. There really is only one real answer as to who to pick for our starter, so we get Squirtle and give him the obligatory nickname Soup. After getting our starter, we can now actually head out of town. We make it to Vermilion City, where we end up needing to make a delivery for Oak, and so we head back to the lab. Here we get ourselves the Pokedex, and our journey has now truly started. West of Vermilion City, we find ourselves a Rattata, which we catch to become our obligatory HM user, a party member archetype that has thankfully been made redundant for a long while now. With our party of 2, we are able to march on toward the Viridian Forest, where nothing of real particular note happens. We reach the end and find ourselves at Pewter City. Thanks to Squirtle being a water type, we can waltz straight into the gym. After one-shotting both of his Pokemon, Brock gives us the Boulder Badge and we're able to move on. Heading out of the city, we are stopped by Oak's aide, who gives us the running shoes, which will help speed up the pace. While battling the trainers east of Pewter City, Soup gets enough experience to evolve into Wartortle. With this newfound power, we easily breeze through all of the other trainers and make it to Mount Moon. Once again, not much really happens, but at the end, we do get to pick a fossil, so we go and pick the Helix Fossil. Psych! This is a pro-Dome fossil channel. Kabutops just hard clears. We now find ourselves in Cerulean City, home of the next gym. But before we take that on, we run into a guy's backyard to get a hidden rare candy. These will be very helpful when it comes to finishing the decks, so I'll be picking these up throughout the rest of the game, as I just know where most of them are. After stealing a stranger's candy, we head north to take care of some business. We fight our rival, clear Nugget Bridge, and help out Bill, who gives us tickets to the SS Anne. Now we can tackle the gym, and thanks to Soup learning Bite, we very easily earn the Cascade Badge from Misty. We now head south towards Vermilion. Once here, we immediately head east and enter Diglett's Cave, and thanks to a little repel trick action, we can find ourselves a Dugtrio to cover Soup's weakness to electricity. We catch him and name him what I name every Dugtrio, Doug. Now we can tackle the SS Anne, which I do a full sweep of, as money will be very important in this playthrough. We give the captain a good old back rub and he gives us Cut, giving us access to the Vermilion City gym. And of course, it's classic gym puzzle that everybody loves: sifting through garbage. Doug makes quick work of the entire gym, easily clearing the fight against Lieutenant Surge, who grants us the Thunder Badge. With the badge in hand, we can confidently leave the city, believing that we got everything that was important. With Cut, we can head east of Cerulean, and find our way to Rock Tunnel. This tunnel is dark. Could I light it up with flash? In theory, yes. However, I don't want to backtrack to pick it up, nor do I want to get the 10 dex entries required to get it. Kind of funny given that this is a living dex video, but let's just move past it. That aside, while we're in here, we get enough experience to evolve Soup into Blastoise. Thanks to totally my memory and not a map I found online, we finally make it through the dark cave and can reach Lavender Town. We're not going to do a whole lot here right now, but we will be back. We head west to get to Celadon City. The first thing we do here is get the very important key item of just T. Now we can mosey on over to the game corner where we find the entrance to a secret Team Rocket hideout. We mollywop the grunts until we find their boss, Giovanni. After beating him, he gives us the Silph Scope and we can be on our merry way. With the scope, we can now take on the Pokemon Tower. So we head back to Lavender Town, giving the gate guard the T along the way. We climb the tower to soothe the ghost of Marowak and save Mr. Fuji from some Team Rocket grunts. Fuji takes us to his house where he gives us his Poke Flute. We take this and go wake the Snorlax west of Celadon, who we catch and add to our team. I couldn't think of a nickname for him, so I just don't nickname any more Pokemon. Like, none of them. It's just Soup and Doug for nicknames. With Snorlax now on the team, we finally head to the Celadon City gym so that he can cover the other's weakness to grass. We wipe out the gym and earn the Rainbow Badge from Erica. After this, we quickly run over to the west to grab Fly, and it's when trying to enter Cycling Road that I realize I never got the bike. So we need to make a quick run all the way back to Vermilion to get to the Pokemon Fan Club. Here we get the bike voucher, and surely now we have everything important from Vermilion. A quick trip to Cerulean to get the bike. And now we can go take on Cycling Road and find our way to Fuchsia City. Our first stop here is the Safari Zone, to get some important items. While in here though, we catch an Execute, Nidorina, Doduo, Paris, Nidoran Female, Rhyhorn, Venomoth, and a Venonat. We make our way through and find both the Gold Teeth and the HM for Surf. We add the Doduo to our party so that we can use Fly, and then give the Warden his teeth, in which he thanks us by giving us the HM for Strength. With all of that dealt with, we now head into the gym. After a really annoying fight against a Muck spamming Minimize, we beat Koga and get the Soul Badge. Our next dungeon is Silph Co, which always seems daunting, but I just know both the location of the keycard and the important teleporters by heart, so it's actually not too bad. If you go to floor 5, at the bottom left corner you can find a grunt and a teleporter. Use the teleporter and return right away, and you can immediately access the lift key, giving you access to the whole building. I took the time to slowly take on every grunt in the building floor by floor. Once you're ready to finish this dungeon, this teleporter behind one of the locked doors on floor 3 leads you to the rival fight. We beat him and also get ourselves a Lapras from the NPC. Moving on, we can go face Giovanni once again, and if we talk to the company president afterwards, we get ourselves a Master Ball, which is an important get for later. With Silph Co saved, we can now head into the Saffron City gym. Bite once again does numbers, leading to a swift victory against Sabrina and an easily earned Marsh Badge. Afterwards, we move to the old gym next door, where we fight through the karate students and master, after which we are given the choice between Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan. And obviously we pick Lee, for he is simply the best Hitmon. Now being able to surf, we fly back to Pallet Town so we can sail out to the south, landing us at Cinnabar Island. Here we have to trek through the Pokemon Mansion to find the key to the gym. A water and a ground type really just spell disaster for fire types, and so unsurprisingly Blaine goes down very quickly and he gives us the Volcano Badge. After leaving the gym, Bill invites us to some far off island. We're going to decline for now and head to the final gym, which is all the way back in Vermilion City. We find out that the final gym leader is none other than the boss of Team Rocket, Giovanni, which is great because we kinda just been sweeping the floor with him. We beat him once again and he gives us our 8th and final gym badge, the Earth Badge. And while we technically can head straight towards the Pokemon League now, we're going to make a couple little detours. First up, we head to the waters near the north end of Rock Tunnel, which leads us to the power plant. And here we catch an Electrode. Oh, and I guess Zapdos as well. Next up we go to the Seafoam Islands to catch Articuno. We're now more than ready to tackle the Pokemon League. We take them down, one by one, beat the champion, and then beat the game. After the credits, we meet up with Professor Oak where he rates our Pokedex, putting us at a mere 19 Pokemon caught. It is not looking great so far, but that will soon change. As our next step is getting the National Dex, which requires registering 60 species in the Kanto Dex, and so it's time to go on a bit of a Kanto tour for a catching spree. But before we do, I'd just like to ask that if you are enjoying the video, to please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. Doing so really helps out the channel and would be greatly appreciated. I also try to stream on Twitch sometimes, so if you're interested in watching any gameplay recorded live, follow me at twitch.tv/BigBlast99. Alright, let's jump back into the video. On Route 1 we catch Pidgey, and get a Mankey on Route 22. In Viridian Forest we catch Weedle, Caterpie, and Pikachu. On Route 3 we find Spearow and Jigglypuff. In Mount Moon we get Zubat, Geodude, and Clefairy. Route 4 brings us Sandshrew. Route 24 has Bellsprout and Abra. On Route 5 we get Meowth. Route 8 houses Vulpix. Route 10 has Voltorb. Route 11 has Drowsy, and Route 15 Ditto. Cycling Road gets us Raticate, and Route 18 Fearow. Just south of Pallet Town we get Tangela. Among the badge gates we find Primeape and Sandslash. Then we return to the Safari Zone to catch Parasect, Nidorino, Pinsir, Nidoran Male, Kangaskhan, Chansey, and Tauros. When checking out our recent catches, we make a fun little discovery.
No way! No way! Oh my god! No way! No way that the one Chansey I caught has the lucky egg. No way! There's no way! Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Oh my good! No way, dude! No way! I was just checking because it's like, haha, wouldn't it be funny? Wouldn't it be funny? I got the FireRed LeafGreen lucky egg. I'm in awe. I'm in shock and awe over this. Oh my goodness.
We go grab the old, good, and super rods to start picking up the fishing encounters, and we catch a Pidgeotto along the way. In Viridian City, we fish up Poliwag and Poliwhirl. We hook a Magikarp in Celadon City. In Pallet Town, we get Staryu, Gyarados, and Krabby. Once again, we find ourselves in the Safari Zone, this time to catch Slowpoke, Goldeen, Seeking, and Dratini. Taking a break from fishing, we head back to the power plant, finding a Tentacool along the way. Inside we catch Magneton and Magnemite, and then we hop over to Victory Road to find Onix, Machop, and Golbat. Now that we've gotten more than the 60 needed Pokemon, we head to Professor Oak's lab to get the National Dex. After Oak refuses to give us the upgrade, I learned that you also need to do the introduction to the Sevii Islands that we totally skipped. But before we do that, we run over to pick up some of the items from the Oak aids. We go to the gate east of Fuchsia to pick up the experience share, and the gate west of Celadon for the amulet coin. We give the amulet coin to our party lead, and the experience share to Dratini to make the most out of our island adventure. We make it to one island where we meet Celio, who needs Bill's help for his big fancy machine. We get sent off on a quest to give a guy a rock on 2 Island. We meet the guy and find out his daughter is missing. So now we're on a quest to find her. On 3 Island, we fight some bikers and learn that the missing girl is in the Berry Forest. In the forest, we find and catch a Hypno. We then find the girl, save her, bring her back to her dad, who we can now give the rock to, and now we can head back to 1 Island where Bill and Celio are done, so we get brought back to Cinnabar Island. Now we can go get our National Dex upgrade. We return to Celio on 1 Island where he quests us with finding a ruby, so off we go. Along our journey to Mount Ember, we find and catch a Ponyta, and we pick up the HM for Rock Smash. Inside the mountain itself, we catch a Machoke, and we end up going the wrong way through the mountain and finding Moltres, and so we might as well just catch it right now. Back to the base of the mountain, we find the proper way to go, and have to deal with some Team Rocket grunts. A quick plunge inside and we find the ruby, which we immediately take back to Celio. We are now tasked with finding a Sapphire, and to aid in this, Celio gives us access to the rest of the Sevii Islands. Our first stop is 4 Island, as we need to take care of some business in the Icefall Caves. It's here where we catch our first non-Kanto Pokemon, Swinub. We also get the HM for Waterfall, and then encounter a seal. We reach the depths of the cave and help Lorelei deal with some Rocket grunts. With that dealt with, we can head on over to 5 Island, where we find a Sentret and some Team Rocket activity. Dealing with some grunts, we get the experience needed to evolve Dratini into Dragonair, and get stopped when we encounter a locked warehouse that we need to go find a password for. That's all for 5 Island right now, so we take a quick skip to 6 Island. In Ruin Valley, we find a Sunstone, and catch a Natu and a Marill, before finding a locked door. This is a very easy puzzle for those who can read Braille. Just need to use cut to open the door, and then fall in the holes corresponding to what each tablet says. At the bottom we find the Sapphire, but some dweeb shows up and steals it so he can sell it to Team Rocket. He tells us the password we need for absolutely no reason, and so now we can go back to the warehouse on 5 Island. We have to fight some grunts inside here, as well to make sure we pick up the very important upgrade. We beat the admin, who is very likely Archer, and then find the scientist that took the Sapphire. After a quick pummeling, he hands it over and now we can go give it to Celio. Our reward is that we are now able to trade with people in the Hoenn region, or we will if they actually release those games on the Switch. With that, we are finished the story of the Sevii Islands, and so it's back to the Great Catching World Tour. While everything is available to us at this point, we're going to focus on just the Kanto Pokemon to start with, and then we'll tackle the others. It's not the most efficient way to do this, but it helped me keep track of everything. At Cape Brink, we catch Weepinbell. A return to Icefall Cave nets us a Dugong. In Lost Cave, we catch Ghastly and Haunter. I know I mentioned focusing on Kanto, but since this place is pretty remote, we will look for the rare Misdreavus. We also pick up both the Lax and Sea Incense as they will be needed for later. Back to mainland Kanto, we pop into the Pokemon Mansion so we can catch Grimer and Coughing. Next is Pokemon Tower where we catch a Cubone. And now we venture into the original post-game dungeon, Cerulean Cave, as it houses quite a lot of what we're looking for. In here we find Kadabra, Slowbro, Graveler, and of course, the legendary Mewtwo. Now this is quite an unclimactic time to catch it, but I figured catching a level 70 legendary could be useful just in case we run into some major trouble down the line. And now it's time for us to finally get back to doing some more fishing. This time at Cinnabar Island, looking for a Horsey. We next fish up a Poliwhirl in Vermilion City, catch a Spearow on Route 3, an Abra on Route 24, and a Slowbro in Cerulean Cave. Now this may seem like a weird collection of duplicates to catch, but they're for the 4 Pokemon exclusive to in-game trades. In a house on Route 2, we trade Abra for Mr. Mime. In the gate west of Fuchsia, we trade Slowbro for Lickitung. In Cerulean, we trade Poliwhirl for a Jinx. And in Vermilion, we trade Spearow for Farfetch'd. It's always been weird to me that the only way to get these Pokemon are through trades where they have non-changeable nicknames. At least this time you can breed for more, but they really could have had them in the wild even if it was just on the Sevii Islands. That little tangent aside, we go to Diglett's cave to finally catch the titular Diglett. Back to the islands, we find a Rapidash on Kindle Road, a Magmar at Mount Ember, and a Tentacruel back in the waters of Kindle Road. Once again back in Kanto to find a Marowak in Victory Road. Now we go for some gift Pokemon we forgot about, such as the Eevee in Celadon. We then pick up the old Amber in the Pewter City Museum, and head to the lab on Cinnabar Island to revive both Kabuto and Aerodactyl. For one of the rare non-Pokemon pickups, we head to the Route 11 gate to get the item finder from the aid, so that we can go to the Pokemon Tower and get a Soothbell for later. We finally go and visit 7 Island, and here in the canyon entrance we catch a Persian. And since we should now be ready to start catching the non-Kanto Pokemon, we pick up a Phanpy as well. In the Sea Vault Canyon, we pick up a King's Rock and find a Larvitar. We enter the Tenobi Ruins where we find an Unknown and a Mantine. In the waters of Trainer Tower, we fish for Remoraid. In Pattern Bush on 6 Island, we catch Leddyba, Heracross, and Spinarak, Memorial Pillar gives us grass of only Hoppip, and we can also find ourselves a metal coat. In Ruin Valley, we find Yanma and Wobbuffet. In Three Isle Port, we catch Dunsparce. Another trip into Icefall Cave so we can find Sneasel. Yet another visit to Mount Ember for Slugma. In the Water Labyrinth, we are given an egg, which hatches into Togepi. And with that, we're done with the first trip through LeafGreen. We still need to evolve a bunch of Pokemon, and even breed for some as well, but we're going to save that for when we have everything situated into this one save. There are a couple Pokemon we could still get right now, but they're being saved for later. And if it hasn't been apparent, I've been catching duplicates of Pokemon to evolve later, but there's really no point in wasting time on duplicate catches. After spending 3 days playing through LeafGreen, we jumped straight into a playthrough of FireRed. We've already recapped the story pretty well for LeafGreen, so this time we're just going to really focus on the catches. We pick Charmander as our starter and head out on our journey. Realizing I'll need to grind Charmander a little for Brock's gym, I decide to make a quick little trade, bringing in the HM Rattata from LeafGreen, with it holding the lucky egg. We throw the egg on Charmander, and are set for a hopefully very easy time through the game. Charmander evolves into Charmeleon, and we can easily take down Brock. In Mount Moon, we grab the Helix fossil. We beat Misty. Changing up from how we played LeafGreen, I decided to grab all the version exclusives on the way through the story, and so we catch Ekans on Route 4 and Oddish on Route 5. Charmeleon evolves into Charizard. We beat Lieutenant Surge. Catch Growlithe on Route 8. Beat Erica. Beat Koga. Catch Cypher in the Safari Zone. Get the Master Ball. Choose Hitmonchan in the dojo. Beat Sabrina. Beat Blaine. Beat Giovanni. Catch a Psyduck in the badge checks. Beat the Champion. Catch Electabuzz in the Power Plant. Revive Ammonite. Grab another Eevee. Fish up Shelter in Pallet Town. Get the National Dex. Unlock all of the islands. Catch Wooper on 4 Island. Get Delibird in Icefall Cave. Finish the Celio story. Get a second Metal Coat. Catch Murkrow in Lost Cave. Fish up Quillfish at Trainer Tower. Get a second King's Rock. And catch Skarmory in Sea Vault Canyon. And that wraps up FireRed for now. We will be back for a little bit of cleanup. But for now, we can move on. It's time for another playthrough of LeafGreen. We obviously picked Bulbasaur this time. Now, you may think we can just trade this little guy over and be done with it. However, there is one little thing that will require us to not only beat the game, but also get the National Dex and complete the Celio storyline. So for the third time in a single week, I am going to play through Kanto. Like with FireRed, we're just going to trade over the Lucky Egg to help make things go smoother. So this playthrough, I decided to try to get the 60 entries before beating the game, and when catching an Onix at the end of Rock Tunnel, I accidentally soft reset the game, being so easy being just the 4 face buttons. I hadn't saved in over an hour, so I had to redo not only Rock Tunnel, but also all of the SS Anne and Lieutenant Surge's gym. I just hard stopped playing that day, and decided it would be best if I started fresh in the morning. Thanks to an assist from Charizard at the very end, we made quick work of this playthrough. I also learned that if you've done the Sevii Islands intro and have enough Pokemon for the National Dex, when Oak talks to you after the credits, he just immediately takes you to the lab to get the National Dex. Anywho, we very quickly deal with Celio's quest, and now we come to why we needed to do all of this. These games feature Johto's very own legendary beasts. However, there's a little catch. They are roamers, just like in Johto. However, you only get one per game. The one you get is determined by your starter. If you picked Bulbasaur, you get Entei. If you pick Charmander, you get Suicune. And if you pick Squirtle, you get Raikou. In the original release, Entei and Raikou were able to be permanently lost if they used Roar in battle. Suicune was safe due to not knowing Roar, but thankfully in the Switch release they have patched this, so you shouldn't have to worry about losing them. I was planning on catching them in Ultra Balls to save my Master Balls for shiny hunting sometime down the road. However, when Entei took me over an hour to find just a second time, I decided it wasn't worth the hassle and just used the Master Ball. With Entei caught, you'd think we'd be all done with this game, but we have one last little thing to grab. We go grab the Experience Share and Soothe Bell. Now we can prep our Pokemon for trading. We need to send back Charizard and Rattata, as well as Venusaur, Entei, the Eevee, and the Kabuto. We also grab a few Pokemon I caught for the Dex, so that I can move not only the Experience Share and Soothe Bell, but also all of the rare candy I picked up during this playthrough. Commence the first mass trade we need to do. With everything now situated in FireRed, we have to grab Suicune, thankfully only taking like 6 minutes. We grab another Experience Share and Soothe Bell, and we can now prepare for the massive trade to the main LeafGreen file. Since the main save only really has Pokemon for the Living Dex, we need to catch some Route 1 goobers for trade fodder. With everything situated in the main save, we now have 3 experience shares, 3 Soothe Bells, and 25 rare candies. I could have had a good few more candies if I was more diligent on gathering them on the other playthroughs, but that would have also meant more trading, so we'll try to make do with what we've got. Our next step is to just quickly nab up Raikou, who thankfully only took 4 minutes to show up. We now reach our next major task in this journey, and that's the breeding. Since generating the eggs takes a lot of moving around, this is the perfect time to grind friendship. We have 3 friendship evolutions we have to do: Togetic, Crobat, and Blissey. Luckily, we have 3 Soothe Bells, and so we can grind away at the friendship all at once while gathering the eggs. To speed up the egg generation, we traded over a Ditto from the second LeafGreen playthrough so that every Pokemon we breed will have a different OT than the Ditto. We did need to evolve our Togepi into Togetic so that we could breed for a second Togepi. With our Togepi egg, we have every egg we need for right now, and so now it's time to start hatching them. We hatch 2 Bulbasaur, 2 Charmander, 2 Squirtle, Ekans, 3 Oddish, Psyduck, Growlithe, Shelder, Coughing, 2 Horsey, Pichu, Eevee, Chansey, Cleffa, Igglybuff, Togepi, Ammonite, Wooper, Scyther, 2 Tyrogue, Smoochum, Elekid, Megby, Azurill from giving Meryl the Sea Incense, Why Not from giving Wobbuffet the Lax Incense, and 2 Larvitar. Before we go to evolve everything, we take stock of evolving items and go find the Dragon Scale. I finally remembered to grab the Versus Seeker in the Vermilion Pokemon Center, as we're going to need it for all the level grinding we're about to do. With the Amulet coin placed onto Charizard, as he is level 100 and is able to fly, it's time to start the grind. So the strat for grinding in this game is to go near the bottom of the Sea Vault Canyon to these 2 trainers near this house. The Versus Seeker can reach both the trainers, and they both have 5 high-level Pokemon. The house itself features the Chansey Dance Guy, who heals you each time you do the dance. The only thing missing is a PC, and that's why I chose a Pokemon who can fly. For this grinding, I'll be using all 3 experience shares. This is not really any more efficient than only using 1, outside of maybe the very low-leveled evolutions. Through this very lengthy grinding, we evolve Ivysaur, Charmeleon, Wartortle, Metapod, Kakuna, Butterfree, Beedrill, Pidgeot, Arbok, Gloom, Dragonite, Golduck, Dodrio, Kingler, Muck, Weezing, Rhydon, Seadra, Omastar, and Kabutops, both of which were the traded ones for the boosted trade experience, Crobat, Dragonair, Ariados, Furret, Ledian, Xatu, Skiploom, Quagsire, Azumarill, Jumpluff, Donphan, Octillery, Maycargo, Piloswine, Blissey. With Tyrogue at level 19, we pump it with vitamins until its attack and defense are equal, and then use a rare candy to evolve it into Hitmontop. Pupitar, and then once we get our second Pupitar, we can use rare candies to level the first one all the way to 55 to get Tyranitar. And with that, we're done all of the level up evolutions. Next are the stone evolutions. So we make a quick stop into the Celadon department store. And while we're in town, we swing by the game corner and buy 6,500 worth of coins thanks to our amulet coin boosted earnings from the level grinding. And we are able to finally buy ourselves a Porygon. This is the partly reason for LeafGreen. As in FireRed, Porygon cost a whopping 9,999 coins. Since we do need a second Porygon, we pop it into the daycare real quick to get an egg and hatch it. Now, we can use all those stones we bought, allowing us to evolve Raichu, Nidoqueen, Nidoking, Clefable, Ninetales, Wigglytuff, Vileplume, Arcanine, Poliwrath, Victreebel, Cloyster, Exeggutor, Starmie, Vaporeon, Jolteon, Flareon, and Bellossom. The only evolutions remaining are the trade evolutions, giving us Alakazam, Machamp, Golem, Gengar, Politoed via King's Rock, Slowking via King's Rock, Steelix via Metal Coat, Scizor via Metal Coat, Seadra via Dragon Scale, and Porygon 2 via the upgrade. This should land us at a nice 212 Pokemon registered in the Dex. And if this was on the original cartridges, this is where we would stop. However, this is the Switch version, meaning we get access to both the Mystic and Aurora tickets, letting us catch 3 more Pokemon. If we travel the Naval Rock, we can catch Lugia on the bottom floor, and if we climb to the very top, we are able to catch Ho-Oh, who took an hour and 20 minutes to catch. At least if we use the item finder afterwards, we can get a Sacred Ash. Next, if we go to Birth Island and solve the tricky triangle puzzle that you're guaranteed to mess up at least once, you get to encounter Deoxys, which while it's not the first time it's been forever obtainable in a game, it's the first time it's been both forever obtainable and shiny huntable. With these 3 caught, we bring the total up to 215, and is every Pokemon currently obtainable in the Switch version of FireRed and LeafGreen. Well, it's time to go see Professor Oak. Hey, if you're looking forward to seeing me field the National Dex, you better tell Game Freak and Nintendo to hurry up on the release of the Hoenn games. Well, at least we can still go to the Game Freak office in-game and get our certificate. This is my first time ever seeing this, and I'm pleasantly surprised seeing that it has a little oddpog action going on. Alright, well, that's that. Way too much of my life in like a 9-day span. The main save file is at about 35 hours, the second is just under 13, and the third playthrough was about 11 and a half. Add in the hour I missed from the big reset, the hour of resetting for Ho-Oh, and all the other intentional and unintentional resets probably being close to 3 hours, I spent close to 63 hours to complete this living dex. I thought the Lucky Egg was going to have a much larger impact than it did, as I really only used it to help my starter solo the game in the second and third playthroughs. I'd recommend doing this for anyone, with the sole exception of rushing for the legendary beasts. They just add a lot of hours for not a whole lot of return. It's unfortunate that XD is confirmed to have no connectivity, so that means we won't even be able to use Coliseum for easy beast and Johto starters. Hopefully they will at least add Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald to the eShop, especially with the long wait for Gen 10. And if they do, maybe a way to get Celebi and Jirachi, just because I don't think we're getting support for the Coliseum bonus disc on the Switch. And if you made it this far, I'd like to thank you all for watching. Again, if you enjoyed, please like, comment, and subscribe. This has been Big Blast 99, and I hope you have yourselves a goddamn good one. Okay, well, I actually have a little secret up my sleeve. Since I traded my HM user Rattata to the other saves to move the Lucky Egg around, I was able to skip collecting Cut. Thus, the SS Anne is still docked in Vermilion. This means I can return with a Surfing Mon and roll up to a certain little truck. Alright, we're here. Let's just use Strength and... What do you mean I can't use this here? How am I supposed to get my Mew? How am I supposed to get my Mew if I can't use Strength here? Everyone knows you use Strength on the truck to get Mew. Man, I really hope they patch this. What a bummer.